The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you to the Underutilization of GIS and How to Cure It, an ArcGIS Hub webinar. I guess it's good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. There's many of you joining us from all around the globe today. So we have a lot of topics to cover in this webinar, so I want to get started, but I also want to let you know that we are recording this webinar and we'll be sharing the recording afterwards, along with a bunch of different resources in an email afterwards for you. So first, let's get started by introducing my colleagues today. Adam Karnow is joining us. He's a community evangelist at Esri. And my other colleague, Nick Giordano, who's a community engagement practice lead here in our professional services department. And we're all three happy that you've joined us this morning and hope that we can give you some good information to take back to your communities and organizations and learning how to use ArcGIS Hub in many different ways. Take it away, Adam.
Great, thanks a lot, Maria. So for the agenda for today, first thing we'll go in is why is GIS underutilized? We'll talk about how we can cure that. We'll focus on community engagement, the big opportunity for GIS professionals to contribute to their organizations and their communities. And then we'll pass it over to Nick, and he'll review the patterns of engagement that ArcGIS Hub allows you to participate in, open data sites, narrative sites, feedback collection, and stakeholder collaboration. Then we'll review some success stories, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. Before we get started, though, we did want to acknowledge, based on the situation globally with the coronavirus pandemic that's happening, Esri has released a significant amount of resources, and that includes a lot of things that revolve around ArcGIS Hub. So Monday, we released some coronavirus response solutions. And then we do have also a coronavirus response hub template initiative that's free for all users, including those with Hub Basic sites. And then we have deployed our own COVID-19 hub as well. You can see the URL there, and there's lots of webinars and blog posts, et cetera, happening around here. So definitely, if you work or involved with organizations that are responding to this, plug into all these resources and take advantage of them. Okay, so the main reason that GIS is underutilized at many organizations is primarily because when people hear that are not GIS users hear the term GIS, they think MAP. Those are the map makers. And so we've got this image of map makers in our organizations, and while that's okay and that's good because map making is a very important skill, and maps are a critical component of any organization's ability to take advantage of spatial data. If you've got access to an enterprise GIS, we should be doing more than making maps. And so we've got to get rid of this map maker only image and let people understand the full breadth of use of GIS, how it can contribute in their organization. And then Maria, I think we've got a poll question up front here you want to run next, right? All right, so there's a poll question out there. You guys go ahead and answer that, and then give it a few seconds. So are your executive leaders aware of the more advanced capabilities of GIS? Yes, some or all of them are aware, or no, they think of GIS as map making. Go ahead and respond to that. Do we have the results there, Maria? There we go. Okay.
The results are up there.
Yeah, so that's good that we've got almost 70% that they are aware, but we've got 31% that answered the other way. So those people that answered in that way, we need to start to work on changing that image in your organization. There's lots of different ways to do that, but we're going to go ahead and move on here. Okay, so the other thing is that people love to still print out maps and use them like this, no matter what kind of access to digital technology that they've got. And so we've got to break this muscle memory. We've got to make sure that our colleagues are aware of all the tools available to them and all the technology, and make sure that they're migrating away from paper maps. Now, I know in certain situations, paper maps are still useful and still needed, but when people have access to the kinds of tools that ArcGIS allows you to use on any device, anywhere, at any time, you need to make sure they're taking advantage of those. And the best way that I can describe a GIS to people is it's like this Swiss Army knife. and that is it's got lots of different tools, specialized tools, all wrapped up inside of it. And we've got to learn what all those tools do, and then show our colleagues how they can help them get their job done. And so if you own ArcGIS in an enterprise situation and all you're doing is editing data and making maps, then that's like owning the Swiss Army knife and only using number 12, the toothpick. So part of the job of expanding the use of GIS in your organization is learning what all these tools do and then showing others what they can do and how they can help them. So this part of the presentation I copied from a presentation I found online, but I definitely want to give the gentleman credit for that. So his name is Benjamin Nealon, and he did this great presentation called Stop Updating, Start Evolving. And he is a consultant that deals with SharePoint, and he was seeing the same thing where people were underutilizing SharePoint. So he put this presentation together to get people to understand that they need to evolve with the product and take advantage of all its capabilities. So we talked about that we're stuck in a routine. We've got different versions of ArcGIS that come out, annually, just about. So we're at 10.8 right now, but 10.5 came out, 10.6, 7, and now 8. And eventually our customers migrate to the latest version. But what I've seen in the past is that a lot of our customers, when they migrate to the latest version, they don't research what is new in that version and take advantage of that. So when you move to the latest version, please look at the what's new documentation and figure out what portions of that new capabilities are applicable to your organization and take advantage of them. And as the platform has grown over the years, especially in the last few years, it's changed from software that runs on different devices to a fully integrated web and cloud-based platform, so that you can take the high-end GIS work that you do every day on your desktop, and in a couple of clicks, share it out to anybody on any device, anywhere, at any time. And that really is groundbreaking. And so the role of the GIS professional has really changed from someone who is going to do all the GIS work in the organization to enabling everybody in the organization to use GIS. So as the platform has transformed, we want to help you transform as well and raise your value and raise your stature in the organization and enable everybody in your organization to utilize GIS. So if we go back to the Swiss Army knife analogy, these are the blades and tools in your ArcGIS Swiss Army knife. These are the 12 different tools that capabilities inside of ArcGIS. So we've got spatial analysis, we've got access to tons of apps, incredible content, both from Esri, from the user community, from our partners and agencies. Real-time GIS is a really fast-growing portion of GIS because people are deploying sensors out there, Internet of Things that are connected. People want to make decisions based on the most up-to-date data, so they want real-time data. So all those sensors have a location, so they need to be integrated with GIS. We can work with big data. We can obviously do mapping and visualization. You've got access to a full imagery and remote sensing suite within ArcGIS. Imagery is very expensive. It can be used for more than just a pretty backdrop. So you can really do lots of different things with it, extract features, analyze change, etc. Now, 3D is another big growing area. We've got some automated capabilities inside of ArcGIS Pro that allow you to generate a 3D map if you've got LiDAR to building footprints. To our partnership with Autodesk last year, the ability to use CAD data, especially from Autodesk products inside of ArcGIS and vice versa, is really becoming much more easier. So definitely make sure you're taking advantage of that. Of course, we can manage data. And then geodesign is a methodology using the technology with planning. So if you work with any kind of city or urban regional planners, definitely want to get them hooked up with geodesign. So we take the plan, we put it into the system to digitally test it out. Then we can change and tweak the plan to meet our needs based on how it performs in the digital world. And then once the plan's implemented in the real world, we can use geodesign to actually track and see if it's actually meeting the goals that it was initially designed for. And then last but certainly not least is community engagement. And that's why we're here today, is to talk about how Hub can help with community engagement. And when you're dealing with large issues and initiatives like the coronavirus pandemic, organizations, public organizations really want to be able to engage the community, and GIS can be a big part of that, and that's what we're here to learn about today with Hub. And so it's really about providing, to get people to understand that you're more than maps, it's about providing different services and different experiences. So things like dashboards, and these are from Johns Creek, Georgia, off their Hub site, can really change people's minds. And there's a lot of these going on right now with coronavirus. And they're great because they're real time, they're up to date, they're interactive, people can easily glean information from them, and they start to understand that you can do a lot more than just do a static map. And again, we've got to make sure we're giving people access to anywhere, anytime, on any device. So everybody's got a smartphone these days, and everybody's going to be using it to do their work. So we've got to give people what they want, when they want, where they want, and right away. So you've got to have a mobile-first strategy, because if your GIS work is not available on a phone, people are going to use other apps with maybe non-authoritative data and make decisions based on wrong data. So they want to use their phones and tablets, so you've got to make sure that your work is available on. And nobody works alone. We all work in groups and collaborate together. So we want to make sure that you're enabling people to work together and collaborate using WebGIS and using the tools and digital maps and apps to get their work done. So again, we changed from doing all the GIS work to enabling everybody to use it to work together and collaborate. And don't underestimate the power of ArcGIS and WebGIS. It can actually transform organizations for the better. Most organizations are set up like the diagram on the left. They're hierarchical, they're very formal and slow. Somebody at the top needs something, that request trickles down. Somebody at the bottom does some work, and then it trickles back up. ArcGIS is really set up to be deployed like the network solution on the right. And that means that people can simply access the tools they need themselves without requesting anything. So if you're the public health director for an agency that's dealing with the coronavirus, I shouldn't have to make a request to the GIS department to create a map. I should be able to open up a live dashboard that I have access to on either my smartphone or my tablet, click and move and interrogate the system, get the information I need, and move on about my day. So that's a networked mode. We need to be providing the tools directly to the end users and know what they need ahead of time and set up their access and their tools and then provide them that. And if you do that, it will really revolutionize the way your organization works. It'll be much more efficient, much faster, and it will raise the value of yourself and GIS within the organization. And we do this by providing apps that are easy to use, focused, and mobile and ready to go. So people are used to apps that are very simple to use. They don't have to take a class or read a book or watch videos. We want to make sure we're providing that user experience to our end users. The goal here is to give everybody alternatives, let them use whatever device they want. We want to keep them in a known, controlled, and secure environment. That means they need to have a password and a login. Security is a huge issue these days. And we want to make sure they're using the latest and most authoritative data. So that means live web services. Because if people are using live web services in a web map, we know they're getting access to the best information, most up-to-date they can get access to. When we make web maps with live web services, we never need to revise those web maps ever again because they're always up-to-date. So we want to help the business get the work done. The focus is on the business, not on the technology. Quite often I see GIS folks see some cool technology and then run around their organization trying to find a reason to use it, when it's really the other way around. We need to visit other people in our organization, find out what their challenges are to getting their work done, and then go find the technology to help them get the work done and apply it that way. So again, we want to give them choices, let them use whatever device they want. So this is the vision of the actual, what it looks like, the vision of what I explained. So over on the left, we've got someone on a phone using Collector with a web map inside of it using live web services. In the middle, you've got a desktop with somebody viewing the exact same web map and same web services inside of an operations dashboard. So different app, but same web map, same live web services. And in the lower right, you've got somebody also in the field with a tablet doing redlining and, on the data to put in some edits. So one web map, live web services, 3 different devices, 3 different applications. So this is the vision of what ArcGIS is designed to do. So it's time for us to wake up and it's time for us to transform into GIS superheroes and really leverage the full capabilities of the technology that we have access to and really help our organizations and communities perform better. And so if we go back here to our Swiss Army knife of GIS capabilities, what we're here to focus on today is community engagement. And this is a very critical issue. So last year, a couple of years ago, there was this article out there, and they surveyed government leaders across the country. And they overwhelmingly, the majority said that they report feeling completely overwhelmed by the demands of civic engagement. And they don't know how to do this and how to do it effectively. And the citizens are demanding this. And so, especially with situations we're dealing with now. So reach out to your government leaders, reach out to your communications department, your public information officers, and then help them understand how GIS can help them engage the community. And that's really what we're here to talk about today with ArcGIS Hub. So right now I'm going to go ahead and switch it over to Nick, and he's going to take over from here.
Thanks, Adam. Yeah, very important to, especially with coronavirus in everyone's minds right now, very important. And I'll share my screen here. So we all know the benefits of engaging the community, of course. You can have better outcomes with your programs. You can make sure that your delivery of your services is better. And altogether, it's really about trust. So making sure that the people in the community and the people in the stakeholders of the projects and the initiatives that you're working on are working together on the same set of tools with the same set of data towards the same solutions. You might have seen this before. This is our common patterns of use, just common ways that we've seen people utilize our apps. It's a very convenient way to look at your business processes and then map them into solutions, and then look at how we can use our software for those. But when a lot of people go through these with like a maturity assessment matrix, for example, for all of their departments, we'll find a lot of the time that those last two columns there on the right, constituent engagement and sharing and collaboration, are pretty consistently the weakest in self-examinations by organizations. So this is really what Hub is looking to go towards. It's looking to ensure that we have the right tools in place in order to complete that. So if we look here, I just want to make sure my screen is showing the right one. You guys are seeing this hub, right? There we go. Sorry, there's a little delay in this. ArcGIS Hub itself is a cloud-based engagement platform that lets organizations work more effectively with their communities. So this is really built off of this trifecta that we have for GIS systems. GIS systems started as the system of record, just simply keeping the records and doing data management. That was built upon that with analytical tools that would be able to build models for you so you could simulate and explore with your data. And Hub really falls squarely in this system of engagement. So this is about sharing, collaboration, and making sure that this data and the apps that you create get to the right people while you're working through your initiatives and projects. A nice way to think about this is you have this community that's pretty unfocused on your key initiatives, although a lot of people work together on the same initiatives. So you have your staff, maybe you have different departments that have working on different sets of data on the same projects and the same initiatives. You have collaborators that could be brought into the fold, but maybe they don't have the right access to your apps. And then you have your general community, which could be like the greater public for your community if you're a government organization, or it could even be stakeholders within a smaller community like a regional council or organization. And those people want to be informed and potentially even engaged if you were giving them access to the right tools and the right workflows that can help make that possible. So we like to think about the concept of the initiative in Hub as this tractor beam of sorts that can help align everyone on a common set of tools through a common platform so everyone can access this common set of data and work towards that goal uniformly. I think this is a really powerful notion, and then we see, especially with things like the latest coronavirus efforts, it's so important to have all of these stakeholders who are working towards this one goal, working off this shared set of information in this shared context. A nice way to think about this is you have your executive messaging that comes out, your executive goals, and then you have your GIS content, which we're all creating right now regularly. You know, you're creating apps, you're creating workflows in GIS, and Hub can really help be the bridge to bridge that gap between those two things. So you can take your executive messaging, you can take your GIS content, and you can create sort of a wrapper around all of that can contain it and help get those tools out to everyone. A nice way to think about this, I'll actually bring up Hub itself. So Hub is another app right here, right inside of your ArcGIS Online. You can see Hub right here. And if I open that up, you'll get to your Hub overview screen. So this overview screen is for Hub Premium, which is a purchasable hub, but every single ArcGIS Online deployment has Hub Basic. And I'll show you what that looks like. It looks very similar. It's missing some components to the premium version. The premium version includes community logins, for example. So you could have community members get their own ArcGIS Online licenses and then use their accounts to work within your teams. But this Hub overview, this is the one that you'll see within Hub Basic if you just have ArcGIS Online and you haven't purchased Hub Premium. And I'll actually walk you through the process of standing up a site. So if I go into here and hit new, it's going to ask me to give my site a name. We've now unlocked, during this coronavirus epidemic, this browse templates option for all ArcGIS hubs, basic and premium. And you'll see a selection of templates here. Over here is the coronavirus run. If I hit activate initiative here and then call this, let's say, we'll say Rochester, for example. This is actually, I go through and stand up all of the stuff that on the back end, like groups within ArcGIS Online, and stand up the page and stand up the site for this template, so that once this is done loading, you're going to have an initiative ready to go, ready to edit, that you can then make public once you've tweaked it for your own organization. We'll let that create in the meantime, and I'll jump through some of these or how organizations can engage their community, and we'll jump back over to there and work through that template. So these workflows that you see on the screen here are a few ways that we've seen people utilize these ArcGIS Hub sites. We'll start at the top here with shared data and content. So this is your standard Hub site, something that even existed before Hub with open data sites. And Hub has many tools that came from our open data sites. You might remember ArcGIS Open Data, that allow you to make your data sets, your apps, and your maps available to all stakeholders for your organizations or within your community. Up here, you see a few examples of some open data sites that are making their apps, their spreadsheets, data, PDFs, any data source that they're wanting to get out to their communities available. I did want to stop for a second. I think we have one question. Who here has started an open data site? And if you could just take a second to do that question on your screen, we can see. So this is if you deployed a ArcGIS Hub site for open data or even other initiatives.
So it looks like about 32% of you have and 69% have not at this point. So we'll let Nick take it away and continue to tell you about the value of creating these types of sites.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, that's great. So we'll migrate back to this Hub site so you can see what the Hub site looks like for those of you who haven't deployed a Hub site. Now, now that my groups have been stood up for that template that I stood up, you see we have a Hub template right here ready to go. So when we talk about building a Hub site, this is the Hub editor here. You can see we have a standard website format that you can make public right through here. You could make this public to your organization or to the greater public at large. And all of these items that you see here are actually just cards. They're drag and drop cards. So let's say, for instance, I wanted to put in a dashboard under this section. Let's say perhaps I want to put in this WHO dashboard for coronavirus. I could actually just come into this card. I could add this URL into here, and I could hit apply, and it's going to add this. I'll save this here. It's going to upload that dashboard so that I can embed dashboards directly in, or alternatively, I could link content through like this gallery card here. I connect this to a group in ArcGIS Online and have a gallery of resources. So a very easy way to start to stand up these websites. And then you could take these websites and also start to customize it for yourself. So let's say you don't want a template. Maybe you want to do this. You want to, say the city of Rochester wants to make a coronavirus response hub. Now they can put it in here. They can come in here and on the row and change the background image and really make this their own, change the colors, change the theme, change the header. So gives you some easy options to really stand up really quickly a custom site that you can then make public to your stakeholders and make public to your communities. So we saw at first these kind of sites were being built with open data exclusively. So people were making, like this one here is the state of Maryland's GIS data catalog. Is a great example because they put a ton of data into a bunch of different categories, and they even linked out to local data from all their jurisdictions too. So it really became a hub for all of the open data within the community. But for building on top of that, we saw the need for more in-depth knowledge on certain topics, specific initiatives. So not everyone is able to just take a data set and comb through that data set and get the insights that they need. So we saw a lot of people wanted to start putting context around that by adding narratives around the data and around apps that showed why the data is important and why they should be looking at this, like dashboards. So these, we like to call these narrative sites or initiative pages, but these are pages that are giving context around why people should care about the data and the apps that they're looking for. So this is a very popular type of site, especially in like the DOT area, but in many government and nonprofit agencies. For example, we have up here, Maryland has put up a transit-oriented development hub where they actually have a project portal that links out to project information for every single one of the projects that DOT is working on. So they have a standard set of information for each of these projects. I believe they're working with their contractors to get the standard set of information and stand up a template page, fill it out with information for each specific project and make that available to the public. So this is a great example of putting context around this project data and giving people more details into each of these projects. Another example is the city of Washington, D.C. has done a great job. I recommend you check out their hub for some examples. They did a great job with putting context around their initiatives. They put many initiatives from many different departments within their government. This one, for example, is just explaining what their urban forestry division is. And they've spun a lot of different initiatives around this and around sustainability, including like the recycling of wood, making it into stools that they can give to local schools. So they have a great system for putting up these narrative pages and explaining the work that they're doing within the government. You also see more stats-based type narrative sites, such as these performance sites. There's actually in Hub Premium a template for a dashboard-like site, like you see the city of Arlington, Texas example here. They went ahead and set up a site that shows all of their KPIs. So we're seeing a migration from like your typical 5-year or annual report that you would put out as a PDF. If you have those data sources connected within your ArcGIS Online environment or online, and you want to connect those into a live site, you're going to be able to stand up a live metric site that can track your metrics throughout the year, all the time, and it will be much more up-to-date data than, say, a PDF that you upload to your site. So we're seeing a switch to these performance metrics tracking sites as well that can be done through Hub. Building on top of that, so once you have your narratives in place, most of those first two examples were one-way engagement. So that was your organization or your government giving information out to the community. But you could also have information coming in from the community. That's really one of the big benefits of ArcGIS Hub is you can actually start to collect data and feedback directly from the community. Through ArcGIS Hub Premium, the Premium Hub app, there, like I mentioned, there were those community members that get identities within ArcGIS Online, and they can take surveys, they can provide feedback through crowdsourcing apps, or they can even attend events, which is one of the Hub Premium features, so that you can start to track engagement with your community members through ArcGIS Hub. Additionally, you could also make surveys available anonymously with your Hub Basic and start to collect feedback on how you're doing or what kinds of things people would like to see on your initiative pages by just inserting a survey in at the bottom of the page. That's a pretty common pattern that we've seen, is a general feedback survey at the bottom of the page where you can get some ideas, or you can see how people are liking your site and the content that you're getting out there. One great example of this is the state of Montana. They were looking at using Survey 123 to report roadkill information so that they could start to do some roadkill mitigation strategies. And they were looking to give cyclists in the state identities with ArcGIS Online accounts so that they could actually use Survey 123 to report roadkill locations as they would cycle. And then they would have that live data set from that Survey 123 that they could plug into dashboards, and then they could use for further analysis for their roadkill mitigation options. It's a great example, and we're seeing similar examples during this coronavirus outbreak and response. We're seeing like hospital surge surveys. So some states or regional governments are looking to get surveys out with Survey 123 to their hospitals in their area to see what their capacity is and what they might need in the next coming weeks. And then they're compiling all the information so that they have a nice operational view of the situation and where their resources will be best deployed. Finally, this fourth pattern to work collaboratively is really like the keystone of all of Hub. So this is where you have people from inside of your organization, from different departments, close trusted partners like nonprofit agencies and educational institutions, and then even members from the public, engaged members of the public, who can help to work collaboratively to make an impact on your initiatives. So they are going to be able to utilize the tools within Hub, such as team management. You can create not only core teams who can control the content on your initiative page, but also subgroups like supporting teams, it's called in Hub, and that's where you can have people, maybe you have a survey taking team and they want to have access to a specific survey that the public shouldn't have access to, but you could actually onboard people into these supporting teams, and they could get a certain level of permissions and a little bit more content that they need for their specific group, while also enabling you to keep up walls between, say, followers or the general public. So you can start to give people the exact permissions that they need to get their jobs done in their certain roles. You can also share content, so you can share all of the content that you have within ArcGIS Online, as well as upload new content to ArcGIS Online and make that available to the stakeholders that need it. You can do mixes of sharing content privately, and you can have private Hub pages stood up, as well as having public Hub pages stood up. And you can even connect into other organizations' open data. So let's say the federal government has an open data group that you want to add into your search on your website. You can actually just add that open data group to your groups manager and your Hub site, and it will search not only your internal organizational groups, but also that group's content as well. So you can really make like a hub of hub situation where you're collaborating data amongst a bunch of stakeholder organizations. And then there's our engagement tools, especially Survey 123, that help to engage the public, but also our other tools such as Web App Builder, our new Experience Builder, and Story Maps, among others within our platform. And finally, you have performance dashboards such as operations dashboards, as well as the ability to connect into Google Analytics. So you can track how well your site is performing, and you can track your metrics through your live data sets as well. So one great example for this, looking at the state of California, they are looking to use Hub for their census efforts. So what they're looking to do, and this is a great graphic of generally the approach that you can take and the different groups that can use this. You have your staff that's connected into your geospatial clouds, to your ArcGIS Online with all your content and your maps and your apps. You can make the content you need to make available for your initiative available through a site page, which then can be accessed anonymously if you make it public. It can also be followed with ArcGIS Hub Premium, so you can have a follower group where people can receive updates from you. You can email them updates as changes are made. And you can even boost that up. So maybe you create a supporting team that has surveys and you've trained them, or you've okayed off this group of individuals so that they are out there and able to do some survey work for you. They're able to utilize some volunteer power on that and maybe reach out to a hard to reach community. And additionally, you can even bring those community members into your internal groups if need be. So maybe you have a partner nonprofit that you want to maybe control a site or help contribute apps or content. Educational institutions is another common one. You can bring them into your groups as well. So it really starts to get collaboration between the entire stakeholder community that you have for your initiative, working off that same set of data. And in the case of the census, they used this workflow here to make a multidisciplinary stakeholder group, which was able to get a survey out to volunteers so that they could go reach a hard to reach community to start to see where they coalesce and maybe where their community's events are, so they could do tabling and other events there to make them more aware about the census efforts. Another example, great example, is the city of Escondido in California. They used Hub to turn a totally paper-based workflow of onboarding volunteers for the city into a digital workflow using Survey 123 and Hub, as well as some of our web apps on the back end to control the process. So they turned several paper surveys into an entirely digital process run through, I believe, one major survey where volunteers to be onboarded by signing up with Survey 123. And then once they're in the system, they can also submit event details when they complete volunteering events through Survey 123 surveys as well. And when I had taken a screenshot on this, they actually had 115,000 individual hours done by volunteers for the year to date. So a massive amount of volunteer power can be utilized through these community accounts and through making these community members aware of the same sort of content that you guys are using within your initiatives. I'll hand this back to Adam really quickly. There we go. We can talk a little bit more about some specific examples we've seen here.
Yeah, so going back to the article here that surveyed those civic leaders, again, they want your help and need your help. They probably just don't know that you can help them out. And so, you know, let's get you connected with those folks right away and leverage the Hub to get some of this done. What I'd like to do now is, hang on. There's some issues here. You show a great example, and that's the website for the mayor of Washington, D.C., Muriel Bowser. So if you go to her website, you can Google it and get there pretty easily. You'll see when you get to her website that and it's a Hub website, if you scroll down, you'll come to this section called By the Numbers, where it's got 6 initiatives or areas of issues or areas of concern that she's working on to make the city better with. So public safety, education, environment, housing, economic development, and transportation. And these aren't unique to Washington, D.C. These are many of the same issues and initiatives and areas of focus that most cities and counties are working on. What's really interesting is when you click on one of these, for instance, public safety, it will then take you to a dedicated Hub page about all the things that they're offering regarding public safety. And then as you scroll down, you'll see some statistics. You'll see some interactive graphs where you can see here they're looking at the number of crashes by ward around the city. You can look at it by hour, by vehicle state, by age, or by mode. You can see some other statistics up there. Scroll down a little further. You then get access to some focused applications that are powered by open data. So information about burglaries, assaults, stolen autos. You scroll down a little further, you get some more apps. You can see some different crime trends, the offender registry, the police service areas, traffic enforcement. Scroll down some more, you get to the open data. So if you want to get to the data itself, and if you're a civic hacker, you want to utilize it in some function or the other, you can go ahead and do that as well through these links. And then when you scroll down even more, you get more information that you might want to get involved with around public safety, such as their engagement academy, home security, safety and crime prevention, and body-worn camera. So again, she's got this set up for each of those 6 initiatives. It's a great example of Hub being utilized in the real world, the major U.S. city, to engage the community and provide them the access to the data, apps, and information they need, and they can follow these initiatives, etc. So really, really great example. Now let's hand it back to Nick. And he'll take it over from here.
Thank you. Yep, it's this graphic that we have here is really a great visualization on the path that a lot of people take during this. We like to use this just to see, and this is a great way to gauge where you think you are, and maybe you're in a mixture of a certain different areas, but usually we see people start with just this one-way policy communication, maybe their government website, they're putting updates on there. Then they'll start to move to also start to have, point solutions. So like workflows of GIS applications and data sets that are kind of disparate and maybe might be broken up, but they at least have some sort of solution in place for their initiative. Maybe the community is doing some more self-service stuff, such as grabbing open data sets off of a government website, maybe if you made them linked in zip files or something. Then you start to see the rise of formalized open data. So this is your standard open data site that you could set up today with ArcGIS Hub, point to your ArcGIS Online groups, and you can start to get community involvement. Maybe a educational institution is using those data sets for a class, for instance. So you'll start to get some more ad hoc community involvement at this stage. Once you start to organize around this concept of the initiative that I've been mentioning within Hub, then you could start to organize that data and those apps that you have and all the analysis that you're doing around that initiative and start to focus people's attention in on the specific priority initiatives that your organization has. Hopefully this leads to a place where you can start to get collaborators such as nonprofits or academic institutions or maybe neighborhood groups or regional agents or agencies for like a regional organization that can start to contribute their data analysis into this shared effort towards this initiative. Eventually, we hope that this leads to the sustained two-way community engagement patterns that you can see where you're getting frequent data contribution from the community and you're also getting all the data on your initiatives out to the community as well. So you are really sustaining this two-way engagement to the point where you can start to have community members regularly partner on initiatives with you. And that's kind of the target that everyone is going to reach for. I would say most people are going to fall within these two dotted lines here. So maybe they've just gotten formalized open data and they're looking to start organizing apps around their first initiatives. My advice would be to pick a priority initiative that you have right now. Coronavirus response is a great one because it is so topical right now, but start to just get all your data and your apps in order and put them into a ArcGIS Hub site and pass it around your stakeholders, even if it's just an internal site at first. It doesn't have to be external facing, but something where you could start to get a container to allow all of those apps and all that data to be focused within your stakeholder group. A great quote that Anthony Puzo here at Esri said that really rings true on this is that ArcGIS Hub is the glue that holds your data products to the mission. So I like to think of ArcGIS Hub as a container where you can get your teams together, you can get your content and your apps, and you can have everyone working towards that same mission on that shared context and that shared set of data products and apps and mapping applications.
Yeah, so, it's time to seize the opportunity in front of you. You've got your leaders, your people in charge of citizen engagement for your organization, whether it's public information officer, the communications department. They want and need your help, they just don't know it. So leverage the hub and all its capabilities to really engage the public whenever needed. And we've never seen a more useful situation than what we're dealing here with right now with the coronavirus. So definitely reach out to your Esri account teams, partners, get up to speed on Hub and how you can utilize it. You can go to the next slide, Nick. So we always want to inspire our users and customers and the community. So, and I love this quote from Denzel Washington: "Don't aspire to make a living, aspire to make a difference." If we all did that, this world would be a whole lot better place. And every day we here at Esri, that's what Jack instills in us. We're passionate. We want our customers to be successful and to make their organizations and their communities better. So definitely, I think if we apply technologies like the Hub and some of the other technologies that ArcGIS has, as you've seen it applied to the coronavirus, it's making a difference. We need to continue to do that.
Yeah, and we wanted to circle
again,
back.
We've got lots of resources. Oh, you want to go ahead and do this, Nick? Go for it.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, we wanted to circle back on this at the end here. Just wanted to make you aware of our coronavirus response resources. We have our solutions from our solutions team here. So that's a set of 10 apps right now to help you stand up these solutions, as well as the Coronavirus Response Hub template, which I showed here. That is free for all users, including if you haven't purchased ArcGIS Hub, the premium product, you can still use that with your hub through your ArcGIS Online. And to keep up to date, these are very fast moving targets and resources. There's always a lot of iteration going on. So to keep up to date with all the most latest resources examples, we have our Esri COVID-19 Hub, and we've been combining our internal resources with the best examples that we've seen from our users as well.
All right, Maria, you want to close this out for us?
Yeah, sure. So I wanted to thank you all for joining us, and also share some resources that we have available to you, ways to stay connected with the Hub team. You can always visit our Hub website at esri.com/hub. That website has a ton of resources, links to different, our documentation, our blogs, different story maps that help you see where there are different Hub sites around the world and how they're using Hub. So just lots of good resources there. We have an ebook, we have an assessment. There's also a newsletter that you can subscribe to. So you can go use this URL, go.esri.com/get-hub-news, and you can subscribe to that newsletter. We try to send that out at least quarterly. That newsletter includes best practice tips and tricks, links to our latest blog posts, links to any webinars we're holding, events we're going to be at, and also includes some great customer user success stories. So you can find some Hubspiration, which is what we call the inspiration for Hub. And then we also have a blog. Like I said, you can go to the ArcGIS blog and search for Hub, and you'll find all of our articles there. And lastly, follow us on Twitter at ArcGIS Hub. So those are some resources to get you started. Here's our contact information for myself and Adam and Nick, if you should need to reach out to us. As mentioned earlier, we did record this webinar, and we'll be sharing that to you with some additional resources. If you noticed in your GoToWebinar panel, there's also a handout there. It's a PDF that has many of the links that I just talked to you about, and additionally, some COVID different blog posts that have come out in the last 2 to 3 days, links to those blog posts to help you get started. We've also been receiving some questions as the webinar has been airing. I can go over a few of those with you now. One of the questions that was asked was, what is the difference, the basic and premium license levels of Hub? And so I wanted to share with you that the basic license level is included as part of your ArcGIS Online subscription. So many of you out there already have access to that. And the basic can allow you to create open data sites and web pages. The premium license level provides the added functionality and tools that you saw Nick sharing. Those would be tools that have to do with building initiatives and having teams, initiative teams and event management, and different types of dashboards where you can monitor what the community is doing. So that's the difference between those. We've also had a question come in that is asking, what are the main differences between Hub, enterprise sites, insights, and dashboards, and what would be the proper way of using each of those? I'll answer a little bit, and then maybe Adam can also add to that. So the difference between Hub and enterprise sites is Hub is the SaaS version, and enterprise sites allows you to create these types of initiative web pages for internal use within your on-prem organization and environment. In terms of the insights, other dashboards, Adam, do you want to take a check?
Yeah, or Nick could chime in as well. But Insights is a data exploration tool, a web-based data exploration tool. So it's designed for someone that wants to interrogate some data. You got some more to add to that, Nick?
Yeah. So I would say, enterprise sites is kind of like the cousin to ArcGIS Hub Basic. So you can create those sites internally within your portal if you have if you want to do this behind your firewall. And the difference between ArcGIS Hub and ArcGIS Dashboards, formerly Operation dashboards. And also Insights is that Hub is can create pages that could actually contain links to your dashboards and Insights. So I would think of that as more like a collaboration portal where you can make those other tools available to your stakeholder community or the people who are working on your initiatives. And you can, embed dashboards within Hub sites or link out to them through galleries. You could also alternatively embed Insights in. And I would say the difference between dashboards and Insights is dashboards can give quick high-level overviews of statistics, graphs, and maps in ways that your executive stakeholders can consume pretty easily. Like we stay up to date. While Insights is meant to display more intensive analysis of your initiatives and the analysis that you're doing on them. So there's a couple different ways to use things, and sometimes it's like more of an art than a science. It's really about what fits your workflows and your business goals best. So I would say try out a few of those tools and see how they work.
Yes, and people are also asking about the new experience builder. So I would say that also dashboards, so like an ops dashboard, an experience builder, a story map, those are all Esri apps that then can be embedded on a Hub site or a Hub initiative page as well. So you can build an experience with Experience Builder and then embed that on your Hub initiative page. So they all sort of work together. We also
Experience Builder has been very popular for especially like maybe you want a mobile view of a dashboard. You can make a desktop view in Experience Builder in the desktop view section, and then you could insert a mobile view dashboard in the mobile view. So that's one way you could use it right now.
Okay. Another question that came in is ArcGIS Hub included in my enterprise agreement? So the answer to that is the basic license level is included, but the premium license level is not included in the enterprise agreements, but you can license it in addition, and it would be at a reduced rate if you have an enterprise agreement. So hopefully that answers that question. And now there's one question here saying, I'm still not understanding the difference between a web page and an initiative. Nick, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's three items to think about. So there's a site. So initiatives, when you stand up an initiative is a term that we use for content with Hub Premium. So you have your sites, which can have multiple pages under them. And initiatives in Hub Premium also like bundle those up with other things such as supporting teams and events and other things that really makes this full concept of the initiative come through. But like say you have ArcGIS online right now and you just have the Hub, the basic version of Hub, you'll have the ability to stand up a site, and a site can link to pages. So it can have new pages that you create under it, like sub pages, which you could link to throughout the site, or you could even link to existing pages from other sites. But these are just ways to contain all of this information from these initiatives within sites, which can have sub pages. And then the initiative is a concept that can contain the site as well as some other items such as events and your supporting teams. And you can also templatize them as well within ArcGIS Hub Premium. So that's the initial breakdown, but you'll mostly be working with sites and pages with the basic version.
Great. Thank you for that, Nick. Another question that came in is, can we make the Hub private? In other words, only used by internal staff?
Yes, so all the Hub pages, sites, they all have permission levels similar to what you'd see in ArcGIS Online. So you can have one between your team, maybe just the team who's on the initiative can see the page. You can extend it to your entire organization. So it's only organizationally available, and you can make it public as well. So you could have this set up for just an internal view. You could additionally do like a mixed page where maybe you have a site that's public facing, but there's one page that's private. And if someone logs in with an ArcGIS Online account that doesn't have access to that group, they won't see the page, like say you link it in the header. They won't see it there. But if you log in as a member of a group that does have access to that, you would then see that page linked in the header. So there's ways to mix the content. You could also have items in like the galleries or embedded that if you don't have access to, you won't be able to see. So the permission levels from ArcGIS Online carry over into Hub as well, and you can do totally private sites.
Great, thank you. And now we have one that says, do I still need my open data site? Can I point my Hub site to the data in my open data site?
So if you have an open data site, if you're talking about maybe like a previous ArcGIS open data site, that should be a Hub site now. So the open data has been merged into Hub. So on Esri's platform, all of these sites are Hub sites. Now, if you're talking about maybe another open data site that isn't on the ArcGIS platform, you could register data. If you have certain formats, you could register data to the Hub site. We've seen people do this a couple ways. You can either migrate data into ArcGIS Online, or you could go back to like the source of the data and then connect that into your ArcGIS Online platform. So you could put that through into ArcGIS Online and then onto Hub. So there's a few ways to do that. I would say whatever fits your organization right now, you could, even in the meantime, you could set up a Hub site that links out to your existing open data site, and then like over time you could choose to migrate things over or see what you want to keep in your original site versus move into Hub. But there's a little leeway you have on that, and it really depends on the status of your data. Yeah, let us know. We can get you some examples of like workflows for migrating from other open data sites into Hub if you'd like that.
Great. I think that we're coming to the close of our hour, and there's many more questions here, but I will try to take those offline and answer those to you folks. And I just want to thank you for joining us today and learning a bit more about Hub. And I'm hoping that you all can get started quickly. We will send, like I said, if you download that document that is in the resources section of the GoToWebinar, you will be able to get started looking at our documentation and other resources online that might help to answer your questions. And I am taking down all these questions right now and who asked them, and I will email you separately with answers to your questions. So thanks for joining us. Thank you to my colleagues, Adam and Nick. It's been, I think, an informative and jam-packed, full of information webinar for you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Maria, and thanks everyone for attending.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, have a great day and be safe and healthy out there.